Okay, everybody, so I'm going to do this again, and as you can see, as you may be able to see, if this doesn't upload again for the third time on the internet from my computer, I am also recording it on my cell phone simultaneously. Okay, so you may not be seeing me look directly at the phone because the camera in the computer is bigger. So I will do this a third time. Let's begin, shall we? Oh, I thought it was really hysterical. Did you see the other fake gurus, SLM, this morning? They don't even wait 5 minutes until after I post what I'm going to say when they steal it and then make their own video to it. It's unbelievable. This is how you know you're all living in delusion and you're all following sleepers. The biggest thing that I love that she said was that she has a tantric path, but it doesn't mean sex. She's telling everybody to be a celibate, but she's on a tantric path. And she's also telling everybody, well, on a tantric path, you can eat meat. They do everything. As she says, you should live life to the fullest, yet she tells everybody to be celibate. And yet she told everybody for all these years that she was following Ramana Maharishi, who did not follow any tantric path. So you can see what a bull-faced liar she is, how she changes with the wind. And what have we learned is changeful? Well, that, my dear ladies and gentlemen, is the personhood. Are we starting to wake up a little bit now? Let's continue, shall we? Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormam Amitam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From ignorance lead me to truth. From darkness lead me to light. From death lead me to immortality. Om peace, peace, peace. Repeat this prayer over and over again. From ignorance, lead me to truth. From the personhood, lead me to the self. From darkness, from the personhood, lead me to light. From death, from the personhood, lead me to immortality, to the self. Say this over and over and over again, and remove yourself from these fakes out here so that you at least have a chance of waking up. So let's begin again, shall we? So right at the beginning of the book, there is a saying that Maharaj said in here. Paraphrased, it says, stay at the brink, the space where beingness becomes no beingness and no being becomes being. And this is in fact what I have been telling you guys for all of these years. What I was calling that twilight, where you're coming out of the dream state, but you haven't fully gotten into the waking state, and you're in that twilight. That is where you are in full consciousness. You are fully the self. And that is the place where I have told you over and over again was the place where I got all of the answers on this path. That is in fact pure consciousness, right in that place. And as we saw all of these fake gurus out here telling everybody how crazy I was, how deluded I was by everything that I was saying, you are now beginning to see that Nisargadatta is confirming everything that I have ever said and disproving everything that these fakes have ever said. Okay? Let's go. Let's wake up. It is time to wake up. It is time to wake up. There's another page in here. The Absolute. What made Maharaj even more unique was that he spoke of the Absolute, a state prior to the I Am. And consciousness, notice he separates the I Am and consciousness. So Nisargadatta, when he refers to the I am, it is the personhood. So we have the personhood, then the self, and then the absolute. We've got quite a ways to go on this path. Quite a ways. And that basically the I am in consciousness was not it. Ergo, his ongoing statement, which he repeated again and again and again, prior to consciousness. And let's review this. Let's review this one more time. What is prior to consciousness? Well, we understand that prior to consciousness, we are in the absolute awareness, which is the source. And in the absolute awareness, the source doesn't know itself. The source can witness everything, do things, create things, but the source does not know itself in the absolute awareness. So the source must be in a form so that he can know himself and therefore worship himself. When the source enters the form, then the absolute awareness becomes consciousness. This is how it is very plain to see that every single one of us are in fact the source. And we don't have anywhere to look for anything. And we don't have to worry about anything called duality. We are the source. When the absolute awareness comes into form, it is consciousness. When we begin to understand that we exist, it is the I am. And so what happens? We go through our entire life searching for the non-physical self again. We went from the non-physical to the physical, from the infinite to the finite. And we are on a lifelong search to get back to the infinite. This is what this is all about. The source has entered these forms to experience the experiences of life and to be able to know himself. Because it is only when he is in the form that he is able to know himself. Okay? Keep every word I'm telling you, hopefully at the forefront of your mind, but otherwise keep it in the back of your mind as a seed. You will very, very soon begin to see these fakes for who they are. It doesn't take much. Seeking or understanding. Seeking is based on some reason. Why do we seek? What leads us to seek? Well, most of us are in some kind of distress, pain, discomfort, and we're seeking relief of this situation, which leads us to begin seeking. Understanding is without any. We don't need to seek to have understanding. We are understanding when we are in the self. Seeking is with an effort and purpose. We want liberation. We believe that we're in bondage and we want liberation. That is our purpose for seeking. Understanding is spontaneous and effortless. We get downloads whenever we need any information, any answers, anything. It is spontaneous. We don't need to go to any book for anything. Understanding is absent in seeking. Keep this in mind. As we're seeking, we're looking through all kinds of topics and various how to connect the dots to make sense of our existence. But when we come to a place of understanding about a subject, we will never go back to a book to read up on that subject ever again, because there is understanding. Do you understand? So once we get to the self and we have wiped away all the personhood, there are no more questions. Therefore, there will never be any need for seeking ever again. Does this mean we know everything there is to know? Absolutely not. The only thing that I can tell you is I know nothing. I know nothing. I cannot even begin to tell you how all this stuff happened to me on this path. I know nothing. It is only the seekers and the sleepers, like these fake gurus who think they know everything and who think they're up there with Jesus Christ. It's only the sleepers who think they know everything. A realized being understands that he knows absolutely nothing. This whole of existence is a mystery. Knowledge is for the ignorant. And this is what Nisargadatta says all the time. Knowledge is for the ignorant. Who is the ignorant? Those who are still in the personhood. You are seeking information because you feel that you don't know. You don't know who you are. That is primary. So knowledge, the seeking of knowledge, is for the ignorant, the sleepers. Seeking consists of a seeker, seeking, and sought. While this trinity is utterly absent in understanding. When you realize the self, you understand there never was a seeker. There was no path. There was nothing to be liberated from, because this personhood was an absolute illusion. Seeking consists of stages, intervals, and maybe some practices. You can do your kriyas, your pranayamas, your mantras, whatever you want to do. They're all redundant and useless. Okay? You don't need any of them because you are already the self. You are already the self. This is why Ramana Maharishi never endorsed people doing hatha yoga to keep the focus on the form, or to do kriyas or pranayamas. He said pranayamas he considered a beginner's technique because it is self-inquiry, is for the advanced student. So all of these fake gurus that have been attacking me and calling me crazy, that's all they know how to do, is give students beginners techniques, because that's all they know. And this is also why they have all been attacking me. Search consists of search, searcher, and searched. Understanding denies the very searcher, denies the personhood. Seeking consists of stages, intervals, and maybe some practices, while understanding is eternal and despite of the practices. Whether you do practices or not, you are the self. Seeking has an aim, liberation, while nature of understanding itself is aimless. You just are. You always have been. You always will be. And there's nothing to do. There's nothing. There's nothing. Seeking is supported by listening, reading, and pondering, while understanding is self-sustaining, independent. When you reach the self, there's nothing you need out there. You go inside for everything. You are self-sustaining. Okay? Fear of forgetting gathered knowledge prevails seeking, while even the thought of having understood is absent in understanding. There's nothing to understand, because all concepts, all understanding falls under the umbrella of a concept in the personhood. So even the thought of having understood is absent in genuine understanding, because there are no concepts. Background of seeking is duality. Why? Because the seeker is the personhood, while understanding is groundless non-duality. There is only the source. Seeking is an ever-changing state. Like I just alluded to the fake guru who changed from following Ramana to now she's a tantric teacher, and to be celibate, and now you should experience everything, but it doesn't mean have sex. Like one of those things, Whereas understanding is a stateless state. In seeking, lock exists and search for the key happens. So we think a door is closed and we think we have to find some door to open. While in understanding, clear conviction prevails that lock and key were never separate. There was no door. That was all an illusion. Okay? So all these people out here talking about the light and the dark, and you have to open the door, and all these concepts and stereotypical phrases that we hear through religion, through personhood, through just pure plain stupidity and sleep. These people are repeating over and over again, and it becomes very, very easy to spot these people. Very easy. November 26, 1979. Why is life full of strife? Visitor, I am asking you questions and you reply. For you, it seems all these are unimportant questions. May I know what is of importance to you? Maharaj, in your worldly experience, what is the most important? Visitor, I do not know. Maharaj, you came to know that you exist. What is of more importance to you than the fact that you are? The most important thing is your beingness or consciousness. But that I amness is the quality of your food body. As long as the consciousness is present, you may acquire worldly knowledge and be proud of it. However, all that will last only until the food juices in the body are wet. When the juices dry up, the Vasudeva, or the one who smells his beingness, will vanish. And that is the personhood. So let's go. The most important thing is your beingness or consciousness. Without the consciousness in the form, none of this would exist. Right? So, but that I amness, the personhood, that I amness is the quality of your food body. As long as the consciousness is present, you may acquire worldly knowledge and be proud of it. Ego. Knowledge is for the ignorant. So you may acquire worldly knowledge and be proud of it. However, all that will last only until the food juices in the body are wet. When the juices get dried up, the Vasudeva, or the one who smells his beingness, will vanish. And that is the ego. That is the duppy in the house. That is the personhood. Whatever name you want to give it. Okay? Visitor, my so-called existence depends on food juices? Maharaj, when you return to your country, people will ask you, what knowledge did you gather there? What would your reply be? Silence. He had no answer. Maharaj, all this is namesake knowledge or jnana. Beyond it is vijnana or parabrahman. The unmanifest had manifested with the happening of the child consciousness or the individual soul. Visitor, am I that child? Maharaj, when you are here, talk only about your own experience. Is it not your child consciousness that is responsible for your knowledge of your world? If that child consciousness had not appeared, would you have asked any question now? So I talked about this once before. The child consciousness, when the I am understands that it is here, it recognizes that it exists. That is the I am. And that is when, at that moment, when the consciousness understands that it exists, the world appears simultaneously. And in mostly all of the scriptures, you hear that when you return to the source, you go as a child. What does that mean? That you are free of all concepts, you are free of all attachments, and you are free of all, what's the word? Desires. A child is as pure as you can be. In the personhood, the child consciousness is still in ignorance, and we must understand this. The child consciousness is still in ignorance, although it has not bought into all the concepts yet, and it doesn't fully ingrain itself, the consciousness doesn't fully ingrain itself yet that it is this form and that it is a boy or a girl, or that it has specific things it needs to do in the society of personhood. So this is why you're told to go and examine the child consciousness. Okay? So if that child consciousness had not appeared, would you have asked any questions now? Because when that child consciousness appeared, the I am knew it existed, and now all of a sudden the world appeared simultaneously, which meant the personhood. There was no reply by the visitor. Maharaj, in the beginning the consciousness appears, which is like space, and with self-love. It is love to exist. Whoever may come here, and however scholarly, I know what has come, and I catch hold of it. Here is somebody, the caliber of Nisargadatta, saying, no matter who comes to visit me, to seek, to ask questions, I don't see that form. I only see consciousness. It is only these fakes out here who hold themselves up to be incarnations, avatars, or up there with Jesus Christ. And you know they are full-blown comatose in sleep. Here is Nisargadatta saying, I don't ever see anyone's form. I only see their consciousness. I know who's coming to see me. And I catch hold of it, the consciousness. Without that, neither he nor I would talk. Without the consciousness. Visitor, is it possible to change the child consciousness into adult consciousness? Maharaj, it is like asking how to increase the space. Demolish buildings and the space will increase. Beingness is the quality of the food juices. When they vanish, the beingness goes into the non-being state. The child consciousness is not knowledge, but ignorance. Prior to consciousness, there is no knowledge of I am. See, that is the absolute awareness. Prior to consciousness, there is no knowledge of the I am. That is transcending knowledge, or vijnana, or parabrahman. From this unmanifest, non-being state appears the child consciousness. So as the pure awareness comes into form, it becomes the child consciousness, where all of a sudden the I am appears. And we know that we exist, and therefore our world exists simultaneously. From this unmanifest non-being state appears the child consciousness. How can it be knowledge? Consciousness is material knowledge, as it is the quality of sattva, or food juices. Without sattva, the consciousness cannot appear. So without sattva, the consciousness cannot appear. And in that same respect, this is why you're told to get back into a sattvic state when you're on the path. To help you get out of the personhood, you must be in a sattvic state. This is why you are told not to eat meat. And we're going to get into that right now. Without sattva, the consciousness cannot appear. Visitor, am I not lucky that I was born? Is not consciousness a blessing? Maharaj, it is the greatest blunder for the beingness to appear from the non-being state. And I told you, Nisargadatta said that. Like, the I amness is the biggest pain in the neck. It is always getting into trouble. It is always looking for experiences. It is always searching out for pleasure and always finding pain and suffering. So, it is the greatest blunder for the beingness to appear from the non-being state. Visitor, do you suggest that couples should not procreate? Maharaj, in English, look at you. That's what he did. Look at you. Visitor, why is life full of strife? Maharaj, you must have noticed the strife amongst the 5 elements. That strife ultimately settles on the earth. Every grain of rice, wheat, etc. is composed of the 5 elements. This strife goes into your food material. All living beings share this food, and with it the strife. Just as one is affected by consuming alcohol, one is also affected by the strife in one's food. And now we will go back to why Ramana Maharishi told all seekers, students, sadhakas, if you are on a path, then you should be a vegetarian. Because when animals are killed, they are in a state of fear, they are in a state of anxiety, and they are in pain. And all of these emotions get trapped. Once their consciousness leaves their form, all of those emotions get trapped in the muscle memory of that form, of that meat. And then we ingest that into this form. And what happens? We take in all of that anxiety, fear, and pain into this form. And it keeps us in the lower gunas. This is the reason behind this. And the fake guru out here wants to say, well, plants have consciousness too. Plants can actually be heard screaming when they're cut. And here's the thing. Everything is consciousness. There's not anything that we can see, hear, look at, feel, anything that is not consciousness. Everything is consciousness. It's a matter of the quantity of these negative emotions. It is the quantity of these negative emotions. Does a plant feel as much as an animal? Don't think so. Don't think so. The size of the body is not the size between a plant and an animal also. You must look at the quantity. What are you ingesting? Okay? We all have to eat to survive here. Okay? The form must go on. So, if we have, pick your choice, A or B, we got to choose one. Where are we going to ingest the least amount of strife through the food that we eat? And that is all that matters here. So once again, you will see, it is only from another sleeper who will tell you to go against what is known by true realized beings. They will talk you against it. You must begin to see these things and be able to stand on your own 2 feet and walk away from these people. November 27, 1979. What is meditation? Maharaj, our sense of being is without a body. It is called Brahman. Without your knowledge, the chant of I am Brahman goes on within you. One who realizes one's true identity is Brahman is worshipped by spiritual aspirants. That Brahman, or God, is your true form. This identity has no death. You have fear of death because of your body identity. If you develop your faith as you are told now, you will never experience death. Then you will find no need to ask anybody regarding spiritual matters. You will not need anything outside of you from anybody. You will become self-reliant, and everything you need, you will be given. Instead, people will visit you in quest of truth. Visitor, what is meditation? Maharaj, not to lose sight of your true identity is meditation. Your body identity should find no room in your faith. When you realize your consciousness as God of all gods, you will find yourself as infinite and boundless. And here I will reiterate again. Your body identity should find no room in your faith. Why Ramana Maharishi did not reinforce and tell people to practice Hatha Yoga, because the focus is on the form, which is why Ramana Maharishi did not tell people to perform Kundalini Yoga, because the focus is on the form. It is all on the sensations of the form. This is why. Your body attachment should have no place on this path. Your only focus should be to break your attachment to this form, not become more and more attached to the form. Anyone who tells you to practice tantric sex as a way to get to realization, they're totally in the sleep. And they are trying to keep you more and more attached to the form, to the desires of the form. And you will not become realized. Trust that. You will find yourself as infinite and boundless. Visitor, is not God greater than me? Maharaj, your consciousness is a proof that God is. Without you, who is there to recognize his greatness? Do not forget this fact, and let's go right there. Without you, who is here to recognize God's greatness? Because in the infinite awareness, the source does not know itself. So who is there to say that the source exists if you are not here? It is only when we come into the form that we are able to know ourselves and how wonderful the source is. As we break out of delusion and the suffering stops, we see how magnificent we all are. Without us, who would be here to say how wonderful the source is? Ponder and contemplate on this to understand exactly who you are. And understand the steps, that we are the pure awareness first, and when we come into form, we become consciousness. When the consciousness knows that it exists in child consciousness, we become the I am. And that is exactly the time where the world appears to us. Okay? This is no mystery. The knower of consciousness has no death. He drops his body in a blissful state. Visitor, in our world we have pleasure of achievements, Maharaj, but the risk and fear of failure accompany it. The worst fear is of death. It is said that the hidden treasures are protected by ghosts of serpents. You have to please the ghost by suitable offering before touching the treasure. Improper handling can lead to your death. Similarly, for self-knowledge, you have to make an offering offering of your body identity. Therefore, the self is free of the body. Then, end of the body comes blissful. Visitor, will chanting I am not this body help? Maharaj, you have to be as you are in reality. You are the consciousness and not a man or a woman. You are the knower of light. You can judge its clarity and not vice versa. You are the knower of light. You are the source. You are the knower, not the known. So all of these people out here talking about this one is of the darkness, this one is of the light. Please understand, they are all in delusion. They are all in delusion, because there is no one in the personhood who can ever judge what the light truly is. Cannot. And all of this darkness and light stuff are all concepts found in personhood, found in religion. When you hear this stuff, let the red flag go up. Personhood. Personhood. Remember, you are to be constantly looking for signs of personhood everywhere. And the only reason for that is so that you can identify it in yourself. Because these people out here are only mirrors for us. You are to constantly be looking for signs of personhood. So you have to be as you are in reality. This knowing up here that I am not the body, or this chanting I am not the body, is not the same as being the self, which means the personhood is gone. The whole delusion and illusion is gone. You can only be the self. This Bible thumping mentality, book knowledge is for the ignorant, the sleepers. So if it's only up here and all we're doing is chanting, I am not the body, I am not the body, I am not the body, it doesn't mean anything, because you haven't become the self yet. You're still having to tell yourself you're not the body. So you are not a man or a woman. You are the knower of light. You can judge its clarity and not vice versa. Visitor, what is the influence of Maya or the illusion? Maharaj, Maya has given you your body form. But when you meet your Sadguru, he gives you your form of consciousness. And where is your Sadguru? It's the Atma. Your Sadguru gives you your form of consciousness. See, we first believe we are the form of this form. And then we know through when we meet the Sadguru that we are the form of consciousness, which is formless. He gives you your form of consciousness. Initially, you were the knower of the body, which has changed to the knower of consciousness. That state is called Vijnana or Parabrahman. Visitor, is it beyond manifestation? Maharaj, the manifestation is due to 5 elements. As long as you are a part of it, there is bodily suffering. The disciple who sees his guru as infinite realizes the same in his form. Seeing his guru as Paratman, the disciple realizes it as himself. And this is what I want to emphasize to you all. Remember how this works and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Remember the examples of the sky being analogous to the self and the clouds being the thoughts, emotions, feelings, everything that's in the personhood. But the sky has always been there, and the sky had to be there first before the clouds could have ever been there. And similarly, if we look at the projector screen is analogous to the self, and the only way we're able to project anything on that projector screen is that projector screen had to be there first. So we are constantly projecting things outward onto the self. Okay? Now, when we are attached to the form, we will see our guru out there in physical form. We will see our guru as the form, as a man or a woman. When we are attached to our form, we will see our guru as a man or a woman. You can delude yourself and say, oh no, my guru's a realized master. But when you look at that guru, you are seeing a man or a woman. You are seeing a form. And this will let you know where you are on your path. This is why I'm telling you this. This will let you know where you are on your path. Because you can lie to yourself and everybody else all you want. The truth is the truth. We project everything. So what is going on in here is what we're projecting out there. When in fact we realize the self and we have cut the attachment to the form, we will no longer see our guru as a man or a woman or that form. That guru will only be consciousness. And as a matter of fact, there is not anyone else we can ever look at out there in that world that we will ever again see as the form. We will only see consciousness if that is our genuine state. So don't let the duppy in the house lie to you. If you're telling yourself that you have disconnected from the form and you know that you're consciousness and you have become that consciousness, yet when you look at others out in the world, you see them as men and women and forms, then please understand you're deluding yourself. And that duppy in the house is blinding you. You got to go deeper. So do not let these fakes out here tell you to see them as Paramashiva and then you will see yourself as Paramashiva. It doesn't work that way. That is how they con you. That is how they con you. In fact, the truth, the reality is when you see yourself as consciousness, you will see everybody outside of you also as consciousness. That is the truth. Okay? And let's go back to the previous statement. You are the knower of light. You can judge its clarity and not vice versa. Do you understand? You in the personhood, while you are in the personhood, while you are attached to the body, you can only project at what you believe a realized being is, on what you believe consciousness is, because you do not know. This is how you cannot in the personhood ever judge or determine what the light is, what the consciousness is. It is only the sleepers out here who are constantly talking about darkness and light. They don't know. Because there is no such thing. There is only consciousness. Okay? So when in fact you really, genuinely, truly have become the self, you will never be able to see another person out there as the form. You will see everybody as the form. You will see everybody as consciousness, not the form, not a man or a woman. This is why it becomes very easy to transcend the hormones of the body, to transcend sex, because you're not seeing anybody as a man or a woman. So what exactly are you attracted to? You are formless. And when this truly happens to you, everyone is formless. And this is how you transcend the hormones of the body. It's not by any magic trick. And by having tantric sex all the time with your guru is only enslaving you to the desires of the form and the form. Nothing else. The manifestation is due to the 5 elements. As long as you are a part of it, there is bodily suffering. The disciple who sees his guru as infinite realizes the same as his form. Seeing his guru as Paratma, the disciple realizes it as himself. Visitor, what happens to the knowledge of the Yoni? Maharaj, the knowledge dissolves or merges into the Yoni. That is the personhood. Knowledge, keep saying this, knowledge is for the ignorant. The ignorant is the sleeper, is the personhood. The knowledge dissolves into the Yoni. So the knowledge, the personhood dissolves into the self. This is everything that Mooji has been teaching for all of these sleepers out here who have been attacking him. This is everything Mooji has been teaching. Everything. The knowledge dissolves or merges into the yoni. The yoni does not dissolve. The states of waking and sleep are absent in a yoni. So as I said, as you fully awaken, there's no more waking state, because the waking state now becomes a dream state. You see? There's only the awakened state. He has no name or form. All these remain up to self-knowledge. The name and form only remain to that millisecond before you are fully have that personhood peel away from you. As long as there's any shred of personhood left in you, you will still relate to name and form. Once that is gone, there is no more name and form. Period. All these remain up to self-knowledge, but not beyond. All this is very easy, but it appears to be difficult to comprehend. A rare one can realize it. One has to transcend not just the body, but even one's consciousness, even the personhood, the psychological mind. One goes beyond all knowledge. Knowledge is for the ignorant. So one has to go beyond the psychological mind as well as the body. All these changes happen without any deliberate rejection of the old identities. It's a natural process to awakening. Like a vast overrolling mass of water, from the supreme consciousness, the consciousness comes into existence. From pure awareness, we enter the form and we become the I am, the personhood. Purusha is cosmic spirit. Pura meaning flood. Purusha is only a witness. All activities are due to Yoga Maya, or the yogic illusion. Uninvited, she takes the forms to act. The real actions are due to the vital breath, the prana, which is due to the 5 elements. The 5 elements, 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, and prakriti and purusha add up to the figure of 10. These are my organs of knowledge and action. Knowledge and action always in the personhood. Knowledge is for the ignorant. Action or the doer is the personhood. Due to the sattva or food essence, the consciousness appears, and all the suffering is due to this consciousness. The understanding I am, and we begin immediately to relate that we are this form and that we are this mind. And we begin to believe that this is who we are. And then we begin to believe all the concepts. All this happening and the experience due to consciousness is uncalled for and extravagant. I have no part in all this happening. He has transcended totally the personhood. Visitor, can you describe your state so that I can understand it? Maharaj, the words cannot describe me. The words and their meaning are totally inadequate for that. You are also the same. Does this not blow your mind? Nisargadatta Maharaj telling this visitor, you are also just like me. And here are these sleepers out here telling you that you are nothing and you will never be realized. They are the ones, the special ones, who have achieved this godly state. Does this not blow your mind anymore? Visitor, then how this body identity? Maharaj, when did this identity arise? Visitor, I do not remember, but it is bound to be after my birth. Maharaj, were you present at the time of your birth? Visitor, As I was born and my birth was celebrated by my parents, I must have been present there. Maharaj, so that is not your knowledge, but only an inference. Visitor, quite so. Maharaj, try to recollect the earliest incident in your life. How old were you then? Visitor, I remember my visit to Niagara when I was 4 years old. Maharaj, that is the beginning of your identity around that age. You must have recognized your mother. She told you your name is Wilson and that you were a boy and not a girl. Visitor, if I were a Paraatma, I should have known about myself without my mother telling me that. Maharaj, Paraatma is in a state of non-being. It is similar to your deep sleep experience. Visitor, is he always in deep sleep? Maharaj, he never sleeps. Hence, the term waking also does not apply to him. Visitor, is very interesting. Please tell me more about that. Maharaj, at the time of your conception in your mother's womb, it was the beginning of the manifestation. Prior to that, you were unmanifest, and in the non-being state, you were the pure awareness. After conception, the non-being state continued. Your manifestation is similar to the sudden appearance of light by striking a matchstick. There is only light, nothing before it and nothing after it. Your identity with name and form started functioning from your age of 4. So think of it in yourself, the very first memory that you have, whatever age that was, that is when your I am began functioning. And that is when the personhood began. There was nothing before that and nothing after that. So don't listen to these people out here telling you their stupid stories about how they went crazy in their past life, because it was just a hallucination. There was nothing before it and there was nothing after it, because we go back into the pure awareness. And the source must be in the form for him to have any kind of an experience. Period. Your manifestation is similar to the sudden appearance of light by striking a matchstick. So one second you did not know that you existed, and the next second you're looking around. You're seeing your mom. You go like this. You're seeing your body. How many of you have seen little children just going like this and looking at their hands, or pulling their feet up and looking at their toes? Okay. Striking a matchstick, boom, we're there. There is only light, nothing before it and nothing after it. Your identity with name and form started functioning from your age of 4, from this visitor's age of 4. So whenever your earliest memory was, that's when you started functioning in that form. As your appearance is from non-being state, you had to begin your knowledge from 0. From the unmanifest. You did not know what you were. The nearest to you was your body. Naturally, you felt that you were the body, and your mother and others confirmed it. It could also be vice versa. That is, your mother told you that you were the body, and its name Wilson. You had no choice but to put your stamp of confirmation on it. After the appearance of the living form, Paraatma accepts the name and form and adjusts to what is happening around. What is happening and why, he does not know. The whole life of the form is like a lighted matchstick, and it continues as long as the light lasts, due to the 5 elements and the form. Do the 5 elements have a form? Visitor, no. Maharaj, there is no creator for all of this. There is no, hear that loud and clear, there is no creator for all of this. The concept of creation, of the world, of the universe, of all of these forms, all of these people, is due to religion. It is a concept. It is the concept of creation that was taught through religion, because everything is spontaneous. Everything is spontaneous. The concept of creation is only a concept that we must transcend. There is no creator for all of this. It is all a spontaneous happening. Everything is fine until the forms appear with the beingness, with self-love to be, the love to be. With life, the struggle to survive begins. All the activities of all living beings is to sustain beingness. This involves protection of their bodies and searching for food. Other than this, they have no knowledge of their origin. The cosmic substance and the cosmic spirit are bodiless, but all living bodies come into existence because of them. All this worldly show is uncalled for, without any need for it. I say that my body is the union of the 5 elements, and this is what I tried to explain to you previously. This form was created by only the spontaneous act of the 5 elements, the combination, what did he say? The union of the 5 elements, which is the beings you knew as your mother and father who had sexual intercourse, spontaneously creating another form of the 5 elements. So I say that my body is the union of the 5 elements. This applies to all forms, including yours. You know it. Your body occupies space, which is its part. There is air in it. The body temperature shows the presence of heat. The major portion of the body is water, and all the remaining content is from the earth, which is Mother Earth standing up. And the video by Greg Braden shows that all of the gases in the air, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, that are out in the universe, in the air, in the atmosphere, that is exactly what is found in our DNA, in every single one of us. And you saw that message. What was it? God eternal lives in the body. There's nothing separating any of us. In the whole existence, the suffering is only due to consciousness, the personhood. Visitor, it is said that birth is God's gift. Maharaj, is it your own experience? No reply from the visitor. Maharaj, it is somebody's momentary enjoyment, and I have to suffer for 100 years for it, is it not? Somebody's momentary enjoyment. 2 bodies have sex, momentary enjoyment. Boom, they create another form. And then we spend 100 years trying to find out who we are. That's what he's saying. Why should I suffer for somebody else's act? Why should I be punished? This is only an example. From the 5 elements, there is a flow of consciousness in various forms. The 5 elements do not suffer. Only the forms suffer because of the consciousness, because of the personhood. In human form, the suffering is more due to the hope that the future is bright, and I must live for that. All this is the play of the primary illusion, the personhood. When you are sick, you take some medicine. Did your sickness die? Visitor, I survived as the sickness vanished. Maharaj, the sickness did not die, but your suffering ended. To summarize all this, since when have we become miserable? Visitor, since the appearance of our knowingness, the psychological mind, the consciousness. Maharaj, that is it. Now, is this knowingness misery or an ocean of pleasure? Visitor, silence. Maharaj, the hopes about the future are only in human form. But is there any existence of any tangible entity in the human form which can prosper in future? I want to continue my existence, but as what? Of what type? Who will give me a reply? The birth is not of a human form, but of misery in human form. Is it not? No reply from the visitor. Maharaj, the 5 elements, the gunas, the cosmic substance, and the cosmic spirit. There is a union of all these 10, at the core of which there is the eye taste. I do not have any knowledge, but when a visitor comes, however scholarly and full of arrogance, I know that he does not know anything. When one is unconscious, under the influence of chloroform, the operation is done. One feels pain on regaining consciousness. All our worldly activities happen in our semi-conscious state. We feel the pain later on when we become more sensible. Visitor, how did you realize yourself? Maharaj, I had full faith in my guru. I abided in his words. Rest of the happening was spontaneous. Visitor, can we know your guru's words? Maharaj, you are all that exists. Presently, you are the consciousness, the personhood. God, Ishvara, etc. are the names of what you are. God, Ishvara, religion, the gods that we created in our own image, they're all in delusion. We must transcend religion. We must. These words were enough to change me completely. Visitor, tell me more about your present existence. Maharaj, I am self-supporting. I do not need any grace or support from outside. It is not that somebody has protected me and I am. I am that which remained unaffected in several disillusions of the universe. Visitor, but you look so simple like us. Maharaj, those who visit me will judge me by their own concepts. What do you believe a realized being should look like? And when we examine our concepts of what we believe a realized being should look like, we will always fall back into what religion tells us they should look like and understand the truth is an absolute paradox from what we believe in Maya, in the personhood. This is how we all get conned so easily. Those who visit me will judge me by their own concepts. Visitor, why most people do not go to the end of spirituality? Maharaj, they are not in search of truth, but only peace and happiness. When they get it, they are satisfied and they will settle there. And this is why I say over and over again, when you believe that you have achieved something, that is pure ego telling you that you are there, so you will not go any further. Because the ego does not want to die. So you must push further, go deeper. Because when the personhood is actually fully peeled away, there is no need for us to say that we've achieved anything. Because we haven't done anything. There's nothing for us to brag about. And anyone out here that you see bragging about what they are, who they are, that they're God on earth, that they're an incarnation, that they're an avatar, you must understand they are comatose in the sleep. And you are twice as comatose for following them and believing what they're telling you. Anyone who tells you they're up there with Jesus Christ and it's going to take you lifetimes to get there, same scenario. They are comatose in the sleep and you are twice as comatose for believing them and following them. You have to understand this is pure ego. Because when the personhood is totally peeled away, there is nothing for anyone to brag about. There literally is. Nothing is everything. Okay. Let's end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnamashaya Purnamataya Purnamevavavishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that is full. This also is full. From fullness comes that fullness. Taking fullness from fullness, fullness indeed remains. Om, peace, peace, peace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all be blessed.